And we're back at it. Yeah, hit it! Sega! I love that. I freaking love that. Released in North America in 1989, the Sega... Who freaking changed it from Channel 3, man?
I'm really sorry.
You better freaking be. Anyway, the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive was a revolutionary system during its lifespan and set the course for many different concepts in gaming for the future. See, the Genesis was the first console in the beginning of the dreadful console wars that we all know about today, and it even helped establish the predecessor to the ESRB rating system due to violent video games like Mortal Kombat, for example. It even brought us our beloved spiky blue hedgehog. So without further ado, in no particular order, here are MavAttack's top 10 Sega Genesis games of all time. Let's do it.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Toe Jam and Earl is one of the most jamming co-op experiences that you can have on a Sega Genesis, period. Set on a randomly generated Earth island kind of thing, I guess. Toe Jam and Earl are tasked with going through different levels, looking for their missing ship pieces so they can eventually get off of Earth. There are power-ups in the game that you can get through presents that can either aid you or harm you, and ultimately pushes you towards your goal of finding all your ship parts. It's a very groovy adventure that plays on 80s/90s culture, and with a hip-hop themed soundtrack, Toe Jam and Earl is an extremely rad game for an extremely rad system. And one more thing, there's currently a Kickstarter up for a new Toe Jam and Earl game, so I'm freaking hyped.
Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
First off, rest in peace to one of the greatest and most influential individuals to ever walk the face of the earth. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker is one of my all-time favorite games, and for good reason. The game loosely follows the story of the movie titled the same thing, and ultimately has you searching for kidnapped children against the menacing Mr. Big. This game had everything. It had it all. The soundtrack was nothing short of amazing because it was 16-bit versions of Michael Jackson's songs. How can you not love that? The gameplay was actually really fun and really challenging in later levels, and also featured unique gameplay features like scooping a meteor to turn into Robo Michael, and even use a special spin move that puts all enemies on the screen into like a cool dance sequence that does a huge amount of damage to all the enemies on screen. It's pretty freaking amazing. All in all, this is an amazing game, and any true Michael fan will have huge appreciation for this title.
Streets of Rage 2.
Streets of Rage is a classic. Anyone who says they haven't played Streets of Rage and considers themselves a gamer, you a damn wrong. Let me relax. Streets of Rage 2 is, if you don't know, a side-scrolling beat-em-up game that you can play cooperatively with your friends and fight your way through many different levels, all to rescue your friend from the evil, dangerous Mr. X. The reason I chose Streets of Rage 2 against 1 or 3 is because they improved on a lot of gameplay features, and I think the soundtrack and character roster is much better and appealed so much to me personally. Beating the mess out of enemies to smacking garbage cans and picking up chicken up off the ground. This is one of the best, if not the best beat-em-up side-scrolling game of all time.
X-Men 2 Clone Wars.
Alright, let's get this out of the way. In my personal opinion, I thought the first X-Men game on the Sega Genesis was absolutely ass in a glass, and so X-Men Clone Wars was actually a huge upgrade and improvement to the series on the Sega Genesis. See, Clone Wars is a platforming game that lets you play as your favorite X-Men characters, such as Wolverine, Cyclops, and my personal favorite, Nightcrawler. He'd be like, it's pretty nasty. But basically the X-Men have to stop the Phalanx, who kidnapped and cloned the other X-Men that you don't play as in the game, from annihilating mankind. That's pretty much all you need to know to be able to jump into this very challenging game. I remember as a child, I was always confused with the way that the game actually opened. It puts you in this kind of tutorial level where you get a random character in the middle of the snow. It doesn't tell you how to play. It just throws you into the world to learn. Now once you continue on and you actually get out of the tutorial level, you learn about the story and you get to select which mutant that you want to play as. You also have a power bar in the game where you can use certain mutant special powers that benefit in a certain way, and the characters play different enough that it'll warrant more playthroughs with different characters if you're curious about the others. This game is just amazing platforming, and one you should do yourself a favor with and play at least one time in your life.
Gunstar Heroes.
Gunstar Heroes is fun chaos. It mixes side-scrolling shooting action combined with unique stage movement and unique weapon combinations to destroy multiple enemies and bosses on screen at the same time. It's such a freaking fun time. Like, Gunstar Heroes is just chaos. So you get to play as Gunstar Hero Red and Gunstar Hero Blue as they try to rescue their family members and save the day. Every one of these Sega games has a main villain, and you gotta save the day. The story is like straightforward, and the gameplay is so fun and chaotic that you'll forget about the story damn near completely at times. Like, it gets pretty freaking fun. A lot of the bosses are unique because some of them are made up of sprites that give them unique moving parts. So you'll be 2D, the bosses will be 3D. It's just a fun ass game on a fun ass system. My name is MavAttack.
Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim is such a groovy ass character. Groovy! Earthworm Jim is a 2D platformer that stars Earthworm Jim, and he uses different items like a gun to shoot, or he uses his head, which harms enemies by whipping it back and forth. It's a good platformer with good level design, and you'll also take part in a minigame called Andy Asteroids, where you race on a rocket, collecting items, and trying to avoid obstacles to get to like your next zone. It's kind of an interesting thing. A simple worm turns superhero through the use of a special spacesuit. Earthworm Jim must fight against antagonists who want to get the suit back, all while saving Princess What's-Her-Name. No, literally, that's her, like, her name is Princess What's-Her-Name. Like, I don't know what her name is. No spoilers, but the game is, like, completely changed by a simple action in the beginning of the game, and you won't even realize it until you get to the end of the game. It's freaking hilarious.
Golden Axe.
Golden Axe, simply put, is a side-scrolling hack-and-slash beat-em-up game. You fight the Death Adder and his henchmen through various different levels using different characters that all have similar melee attacks, but have a unique kind of like special attack that can be used to wipe the stage clear of like all the enemies on the stage. You have like a magic bar, and so you know how it goes. In different levels, there are different mounts that you can ride on, so you can like ride on a dragon, ride on a horse, obviously, in different sections of the game. And there are even different game modes to play aside from the game's main quest. This is another great co-op or solo fighting game that takes place in a fantasy medieval sort of world where you have to save the land, retrieve the Golden Axe and a royal family from the evil Death Adder, and it's a pretty fun, full experience. Check that game out.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Even though the ported version of Mortal Kombat 2 on a Sega wasn't the best version, it still had a lot of flaws. It still supported 6-button controllers and was the one I played most frequently when I was a child. It just made it feel like I was actually like in an arcade versus being at home. And not only did it introduce more characters to the series and expand on its moves and finishers, because we know we all love them fatalities. Finish him! But it also brought more attention and controversy to more mature and brutal games, and paved the way for developers to take risks and do risque things with their games. I just really loved how brutal and challenging the games were, and I raged as a little kid just as much as I would still today. Like that game, plus all of them fatalities, oh my goodness!
Vector Man.
Vector Man was surprisingly supposed to be Sega's answer to Super Nintendo's Donkey Kong Country, but it's ultimately a 2D platformer using pre-rendered 3D models to kind of like give it a boost graphically. Vector Man stars you as... Can you freaking guess? Vector Man is an Orbot that you can use special powers in his gun hand that like will give you like a machine gun, or you get like triple firing guns. It's a pretty straightforward game. So you run through levels, defeat enemies, grab upgrades, and fight bosses. It's challenging like many other platformers of this era, but a fun and rewarding experience nonetheless. You really feel rewarded for progressing through the game. There's also a hilarious screen that shows, like once you beat the game, it basically tells you, like if you use cheats to get through the game, it will say, congrats on beating the game, now go back and play it without cheats. I was like, bruh.
E-SWAT.
E-SWAT is a game that takes platforming shooters. See, in E-SWAT, you play as a cop that goes through levels, and you gotta be... I don't know what that is, but oh, how could I forget? How could I forget Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Y'all really thought I was gonna make a top 10 list without Sonic on it, huh? Yeah, freaking. I could not put this game on the list. It's arguably the most popular game on the Sega Genesis ever. Do I really have to explain what Sonic is? It's on my freaking list. It's Sonic. Like, why I wouldn't make a Genesis games video without Sonic. Like, what do y'all think? I might as well just freaking drown, man.
Honorable mentions.
And finally, here's the list of my honorable mentions. I was trying to think of like what I could do for this. I'm just gonna list them off for you guys. I'm not gonna do a rap or nothing like that.
Bringing in the paper.
Comic Zone, Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, Power Rangers, E-SWAT, Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, Stimpy's Invention, Strider, and Rocket Knight Adventures. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Please let me know down below in the comment section what your guys' favorite Sega Genesis games are, and attack that like button if you actually enjoyed and got plenty of nostalgia from this video. You guys all mean so much to me. Everybody that watches, it means a lot to me. But I'm out of here. All you He-Mavs stay rad, and all you She-Mavs stay fab, and I'll see you all on the next episode of MavAttack, motherfucker.